Ouija boards. What have we learned, boys and girls? Have we learned not to play with these yet? Or does everyone enjoy the unexplainable torture and hauntings that seem to go on for decades? Since I have 10 more stories to share with you today, I'm guessing not yet. Enjoy. I was staying at a hotel with friends in northern Ontario. Can't exactly remember the town. Anyway, we were looking for some thrills at night, and someone busted out a Ouija board. We asked a few questions I can't remember, but I will never forget when we asked if it knew if any of us was going to die. It was a strange question to ask. It spells out a person's name that was with us at the time, and then a date, which was approximately a year later. My friend died a year later from cancer in his knee. He knew about it 6 months before he died. I was 17. And we were using the Ouija board in a room full of people. And one kid blurted out, "This is all fake. I need proof." Before he finished the word proof, the lights in the entire house went off. If that was a coincidence, it was the oddest one I've ever seen. No one else was in the house, and the fuse box was buried in the back of a closet. The kid's dad had to come home and turn it back on. Said it had never happened before. The entire circuit tripped. I always thought these things were bullshit. However, years ago this changed when I was playing with it with some random people at a get-together. We were talking to all sorts of spirits, and I wasn't taking any of it seriously. Then I thought of a way to put this to the test. I'm Kuwaiti American and was born in Kuwait, so I knew Arabic, and knew of a friend of my brother that had passed away recently. So I asked to speak to him. Only one person knew me at the get-together, and even then didn't know that much about me. And I was definitely the only one who could speak Arabic. I was in Oklahoma at the time. So I asked in Arabic how he died. The board spelled out car crash. I was a bit shocked, but still didn't buy any of it completely. So I asked a more detailed question. I asked in Arabic how old he was when he died. It pointed to 1 and then 3. And that's when I really started freaking out. No one would have ever known these details, let alone understood what I was asking. I asked for more details on the crash. He flew out of the sunroof. After that, I stopped, and haven't touched a Ouija board since. My grandmother has banned these from her house, because once when she was younger, she and her friends were playing with one. They asked who they were talking to, and the board spelled out Satan. At this point, her friend who owned the board started convulsing, and from then on she swore she felt a presence when she was sleeping. A few years ago, my friend brought her Ouija board to my house so we could play with it. The first few times it was used, I just watched while some of the other friends used it. Then I decided I would join. We asked if there was a spirit present. It said yes. We asked its name, but instead of just going to the letters to spell it out, it started going to random letters, not making out any specific word. I asked for its name again and it spelled out bitch. I started freaking out. And then it spelled cunt. Then went right back to random letters again. I freaked out and left the room after that. Whatever it was either really mean or something other than a spirit. Never using one again after that. My brother built a Ouija board once and had some pretty weird encounters. At one point, he shaved down his planchette and found weird markings on it that only showed up under a blacklight. The markings were not made from my brother, and they would only show up under the blacklight as black. He hadn't made any marks on it while he was making it, and we believe the markings occurred from using it on the Ouija board. About 15 years ago, my sister had some friends over one night. They were in the basement watching some scary movie. They had a Ouija board. They started cussing at it and calling it shit and fucking fake. It stopped responding, so they began watching the movie again. All of a sudden, all the lights and electricity goes out. They start screaming. Then the TV comes on, all static, blaring noise. They were yelling and crying. Then the TV shuts off, comes back on to just a black screen. The words, "This is not a game anymore," rolled across the screen in all white. Afterward, TV shut off again, and they were in complete darkness. At this point, they ran out of the house. A girl brought her authentic Ouija board made out of maple straight from Salem. Ironically, she was a devout Catholic, but loved her board. It was a very interesting few nights in the dorm with it. I think the second night we were playing with it, it was going slow, not much movement. I had my hands off of the planchette because I was still unsure about it. Suddenly, it was like cold fingers grabbed my shoulders ever so slightly, and this terrible feeling in the back of my mind just came to the surface. I looked to the board, and the planchette started moving in figure eights. I looked at the girl and said, "I have a bad feeling about that." In time for her to realize what was happening, she stopped the planchette and bid the spirit goodbye. In that moment, the icy grip loosened and all was well. Everyone was freaked out by that, and the girl explained that the figure eight meant that something was trying to get out of the board. When I was 14, my best friend had a sleepover. Being the silly little girls we were, we decided to make a Ouija board to use, not really knowing any of the rules, like making it say goodbye. After an hour or so, I wandered off to read some tarot cards and watch the rest of The Exorcist. Here's where it got weird. After I left, the spirit talking to my friends changed. His name was Max, and he was looking for me. I've never known a Max in my life. My friends yelled out what he was saying as it moved, and I was writing it off as them teasing me. Until he started giving them information about me that no one at that party knew, things about minor abuse I was facing, and other little things. That freaked me out, and I begged for them to stop playing, even after Max tried to convince me that he was not trying to hurt me. My friends were awesome and stopped playing before I started crying, and I thought that was the end of it. The next time we even encountered a Ouija board was the next year, and only one girl from the original party was among the group. We were baking a cake, so when the buzzer went off, she and I went to take it out of the oven. When we got back to the group, another girl turned to me and asked, "Who's Max?" Apparently, he stuck around after the first time. If my friends want to use a Ouija board, they don't invite me over unless they want to speak to Max. He's always around. A few times in my life, I've heard a voice call out my name. It usually makes me stop for a minute. And at least twice, had I not stopped, I would have been in the path of a car going too fast to stop before it would have hit me. I strongly believe Max has stuck around to be helpful. But had we not pulled out the Ouija board, I would have never known about him. My girlfriend told me this story about an experience she had with a Ouija board. She was in high school sometime in 1986. She had a friend named Johnny who was suffering from a debilitating illness, who had recently been hospitalized as a result. Both she and her friend Shelley visited Johnny regularly in the hopes of keeping his spirits up and for a quick recovery. One night, after visiting Johnny, they were at Shelley's when they decided to try a Ouija board. After a while, they started communicating with a spirit who seemed to know a lot about them that it really shouldn't, after some questions about boys and general questions one would expect teenage girls to ask. My girlfriend decided to ask about Johnny and his condition. The board quickly spelled out 24 June 1987. Johnny won't have to worry anymore, and went to goodbye. My girlfriend and Shelley were so convinced that the board was giving them a date for recovery that they actually wrote the message down and sealed it in an envelope. The following year, on 24 June, it turned out that Johnny indeed no longer needed to worry about his condition. It was the day he died. Okay, so who's next? Who out there just insists on messing around with these boards? Even after all the warnings, all the horror stories, and the fear from others. Is it you? Do you have a similar story or another story you would like to see featured here? If so, please contact me through any of my social media links or email me at DuchessDark676@gmail.com. See you next time.